tragedy struck in the northern Burkina Faso town of Titao February 14, 2026, when Ghanaian tomato traders were caught in a devastating terrorist attack. At least 7 Ghanaian men lost their lives in an assault that has sent shockwaves through both nations and serves as a stark reminder of the growing security crisis threatening West Africa. Before we begin, kindly subscribe to the channel. These weren't soldiers or politicians. They were traders, ordinary Ghanaians making an honest living, traveling along routes they'd used countless times before to bring tomatoes from Burkina Faso back to Ghana. They were drivers, businessmen, and breadwinners whose lives were cut short by terrorists from JNIM, the Al-Qaeda-affiliated group that has been terrorizing the Sahel region for years. The attack targeted a military camp in Titao, but the terrorists didn't stop there. According to eyewitness accounts, all the men seated on top of the vehicles were shot dead. One driver tried to lock himself inside his truck for safety, but the terrorists set the vehicle ablaze. In a chilling detail that underscores the calculated brutality of this attack, reports indicate that female Ghanaian traders were spared while their male counterparts were executed. News of the attack first emerged on social media on Saturday, with journalist Alhaji Bangbanku reporting the incident before official confirmation. By Sunday, February 15, Ghana's Ministry of the Interior issued a statement describing the information as disturbing. Interior Minister Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak confirmed that Ghana's embassy in Burkina Faso was coordinating with local authorities to visit the attack site, collect details, and assist in identifying affected Ghanaians. The attackers, identified as members of Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, or JNIM, didn't just take lives. They set several trucks used by the Ghanaian traders ablaze, destroying livelihoods and sending a clear message of terror. International news agency AFP confirmed the deaths, adding weight to what many had feared when the first reports began circulating. For the families waiting back in Ghana, the confirmation of their worst fears has brought unimaginable grief. This trade isn't a luxury. It's essential for food security. When Ghana faces tomato shortages, Burkina Faso supplies up to 90% of our tomatoes. The Ghana National Tomato Traders and Transporters Association has called this cross-border trade vital but acknowledged it has become a high-risk endeavor. The traders who died in Titao knew the risks but continued anyway because their communities and businesses depended on them. The relationship between Ghana and Burkina Faso isn't new. It's built on decades of cooperation, shared history, and mutual benefit. When Thomas Sankara came to power in Burkina Faso in 1983, relations between the two countries became both warm and close. Jerry Rawlings and Sankara even began discussions about uniting Ghana and Burkina Faso, reminiscent of Nkrumah's vision for continental unity. Political and economic ties were strengthened through joint commissions of cooperation and border demarcation committee meetings. High-level consultations and joint military exercises became regular features of Ghana-Burkina relations, designed to protect both young nations and discourage potential threats. Even as political leadership changed, the commitment to cooperation remained. In December 2018, Ghana and Burkina Faso held their 12th session of the Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation in Accra. During this session, both countries signed crucial agreements including a Memorandum of Understanding on Security, an agreement on railway interconnectivity, and MOUs on sports and education. More recently, in May 2025, following President John Dramani Mahama's diplomatic tour of the Alliance of Sahel States countries, Ghana and Burkina Faso signed a major transit facilitation agreement for the Accra-Ouagadougou corridor. This agreement, designed to rationalize transit along this crucial trade route, built on the initial 2018 partnership and reinforced the fraternal and cooperative relationship between the two nations. In 2015, Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Togo signed a pact to increase relations between the three neighboring countries, agreeing to ease movement to work together on issues of education, health, and agriculture, while also tackling petroleum smuggling and other cross-border criminal activities. The brutal attack on Ghanaian traders in Titao should serve as a wake-up call for both nations. This isn't just Burkina Faso's problem, and it isn't just Ghana's problem. It's our shared challenge and it requires a shared response. The current security architecture in West Africa is fracturing. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger formed the Alliance of Sahel States and withdrew from ECOWAS at the end of January 2025, citing their need for sovereignty and security independence. While this political decision reflects their frustration with previous counterterrorism approaches, terrorism doesn't care about political alliances or regional blocs. JNIM operates across borders, and their threat to Ghana is growing whether we're in the same regional organization or not. What we need now is pragmatic, bilateral security cooperation that transcends political differences. The 2018 Security Memorandum of Understanding between Ghana and Burkina Faso exists, but it must be activated and strengthened with urgency. Both nations need to share intelligence on JNIM movements, coordinate border patrols, and establish rapid response mechanisms for cross-border threats. Ghana must invest more heavily in securing its northern borders. The towns of Bolgatanga and Tamale need enhanced security infrastructure. Border communities need resources and support so they don't become vulnerable to extremist influence. Early warning systems must be established so that traders like those killed in Titao have real-time information about security threats along their routes. Burkina Faso, despite facing immense challenges, must recognize that protecting cross-border trade routes protects its own economy. The 7.7 billion CFA francs in trade with Ghana represents vital economic activity. The Ouagadougou-Accra corridor isn't just a road. It's a lifeline for both nations' food security and economic prosperity. Regional cooperation must also be revitalized. Ghana's President Mahama's March 2025 diplomatic tour of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso was an important step, but follow-through is essential. The African Union and ECOWAS must find ways to support these countries' counterterrorism efforts without letting political differences paralyze security cooperation. The European Union has shown willingness to support integrated security approaches in northern Ghana and strengthen border management cooperation between Ghana, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, and Togo. This external support is valuable, but ultimately, the solution must be African-led and African-owned. We must also remember the human cost. 7 Ghanaian men died simply trying to make a living. Their families deserve more than condolences. They deserve assurance that their deaths will not be in vain, that both governments will do everything possible to prevent such tragedies in the future. The terrorist attack in Titao is a tragedy, but it should also be a catalyst for action. Ghana and Burkina Faso share history, culture, economic interests, and now, a common enemy in violent extremism. The artificial borders drawn by colonial powers should not become barriers to our shared security and prosperity. The time for speeches and statements has passed. The time for concrete action is now. Our traders need safe passage. Our borders need protection. Our people need security. And both Ghana and Burkina Faso need each other, not just as neighbors, but as partners united against a threat that recognizes no boundaries. May the souls of the 7 Ghanaians who lost their lives in Titao rest in peace, and may their sacrifice remind us all of the urgent need for unity in the face of terror.